Outer Banks highlights local North Carolina history and culture through its swashbuckling teenage main characters, but it was largely filmed in South Carolina. This season, Outer Banks takes viewers through a deep dive into Blackbeard's legend, which details a real pirate who was killed near Ocracoke Island in 1718. Despite the show's North Carolina roots, many of the show's iconic marsh scenes and more are shot in South Carolina. Since Season 1 of Outer Banks, the show has incorporated ties to North Carolina, through characters' surnames, local businesses, and more. This season brought filming to the real Outer Banks of North Carolina, with a number of beach scenes shot at the Fort Fisher State Recreation Area in North Carolina. However, a number of Outer Banks treasure hunting scenes were filmed in South Carolina yet again. Pogolandia 2.0. The Pogues commune in Season 4 was shot near Charleston. Pogolandia 2.0 in Season 4 of Outer Banks was shot near Charleston, South Carolina. The surf shop was built by the cast and crew, including series star Chase Stokes, via Netflix. While the structure was built for the show, surf and bait shops are common local businesses for fishermen across the Carolinas. After the Pogues make their way home to Kildare Island with the gold they found at El Dorado, they find their treasure caches in for over $1 million. With their sudden wealth, the predominantly working-class group uses their money to lift themselves out of their struggles. The group purchases JJ's foreclosed childhood home, building a surf and bait shop along the dock. The house and surf shop property is dubbed Pogolandia 2.0 to mirror the deserted island the group began Season 3 of Outer Banks stranded on. The communal living situation also boasts an herb garden. Pogolandia 2.0 becomes the solution to John B.S. Chase Stokes' homelessness as well, after he lost his father Big John Routledge, Charles Halford, at El Dorado and his home was burnt down by Rafe Cameron, Drew Starkey, in Season 3. The Enduro Race. The racing episode brought the crew on a rare trip to filming in North Carolina. The Pogues in Outer Banks Season 4, 3. The Enduro bike race was filmed at Cure Beach within Fort Fisher State Recreation Area in North Carolina. JJ Maybank, Rudy Panko, bets the group's last piece of gold that he can win the dirt bike race against the wealthy Kooks, and ultimately loses in part due to his bike's crude mechanics. While the race starts and ends on the North Carolina beach, the scenes filmed in the woods were shot on Copperhead Ranch in Rocky Point, North Carolina. The race ends in JJ losing the group's last bit of wealth to Topper Thornton, Austin North, of the rival Kook gang, placing them in the position to potentially lose their land. Blackstone Manor. Wes Jeanrette's ancestral home was filmed in South Carolina. Wes Jeanrette in Outer Banks Season 4. The mysterious Blackstone Manor, where the wealthy but haunted Wes Jeanrette, David Jensen, lives on land gifted to his family by the British Crown centuries earlier, was shot in Charleston, South Carolina. The Rayal House is the Admiral's house in Quarter G of Charleston, and is a real historical landmark. Jeanrette reveals to the Pogues that he fears his family is cursed, because his ancestor killed the legendary pirate Blackbeard nearby. Members of the family faced puzzling sudden deaths immediately after seeing the ghost of Blackbeard's wife, Elizabeth Teach, who was buried without her precious amulet. It was lost in the shipwreck among the rest of Blackbeard's treasure, which Jeanrette enlists the Pogues to find. The amulet and Blackbeard's treasure are the central hunt of Outer Banks Season 4. Kildare Hospital. The hyperbaric chambers that Kira and JJ are placed in were filmed at a Charleston area hospital. JJ and Kira in the hyperbaric chamber in Outer Banks. After an altercation ensues underwater in pursuit of Blackbeard's treasure, JJ and Kira Carrera, Madison Bailey, are hospitalized for the bends, slang for decompression sickness, a phenomenon in which dissolved gases, usually nitrogen, form bubbles in the bloodstream and tissues, via National Institute of Health. To treat decompression sickness, the pair are placed in a hyperbaric chamber for hours. The hospital where the hyperbaric chamber scenes were filmed is located within May Forest State Park in Charleston, South Carolina. The hospital is located close to where Pogolandia and a number of other scenes in Season 4 were shot, adding realism to this season's urgent driving scenes. Charleston Church. The Pogues head to Charleston to hunt for Blackbeard clues. John B. at the graveyard of a church in Charleston in Outer Banks. The Pogues make their way to Charleston in Season 4 of Outer Banks in search of Blackbeard's ultimate treasure, the Blue Crown. As Charleston is the site of a number of historical landmarks associated with both Blackbeard and colonial America, Pope Haywood's, Jonathan Davis, research takes the group south. The catacomb in which Sarah, Madeline Klein, and Pope are trapped in pursuit of Blackbeard's clues was filmed at the Old Exchange Building, Provost, in Charleston. The earlier interior scenes in which Sarah and Cleo, Carlacia Grant, attempt to distract the priest from Pope's prodding were shot at Unitarian Church, with the exterior graveyard shots of John B. bumping into his ancestor's grave were shot at Circular Congregational Church. All of these Outer Banks locations were in proximity to one another in Charleston, South Carolina.